Welcome back to the Chad DiMera Channel, your absolute favorite spot for the deepest, most passionate Salem updates. Let's kick things off with the Monday, June 1st episode, because the drama surrounding Abe, Paulina, and Lexie is reaching a boiling point. The spoilers reveal that Lexie is finally setting some very strict terms for Abe moving forward. She absolutely refuses to step into Paulina's shadow. Meanwhile, Abe is trying to convince everyone that he is just getting on with his life and picking up right where he left off with his resurrected wife and their son, Theo. But you guys, is it ever really that simple in Salem? Absolutely not. The tension in that apartment is going to be thick enough to cut with a knife. Let's be real for a second. Abe bringing Lexie back to the exact same apartment he shared with Paulina? I think this was a huge mistake because it completely invalidates the massive psychological trauma Lexie is going through. Can you believe it? Lexie has been dead for 14 years. True fans remember the absolute heartbreak of 2012 when Lexie died in Abe's arms from a fatal brain tumor caused by the toxic gases in the DiMera tunnels. That was a legacy character exit that shattered us. Now, she wakes up in a resurrection pod, only to find out her husband has built an entire life, a home, and a marriage with another woman. That's crazy. She is walking past Paulina's decor, sleeping in a bed Abe shared with another woman, and expected to just smile and nod. A lot of fans think Lexie should just be grateful to be alive and fall right back into Abe's arms, but I'm telling you, it's definitely the opposite. Lexie is a DiMera. She is Stefano's incredibly fierce daughter. She has too much pride and too much fire to just be the other woman in her own marriage. Setting these terms is her way of reclaiming her power. I predict her terms are going to be drastic. Maybe she demands Abe completely redecorate, or maybe she insists he cut all ties with Paulina immediately. This slow burn reconciliation is going to be agonizing, but it is exactly what the characters need. What do you guys think? Will Abe actually agree to her terms, or is he still too hung up on Paulina to fully commit to this miracle? But here's the kicker. Paulina is actually stepping aside. She is removing herself from this two-wife battle, which honestly breaks my heart a little bit. Paulina has fought so hard for her happiness, overcoming the horrific abuse from TR Coates to find a safe harbor in Abe. But Paulina doesn't have time to wallow in her romantic misery because her daughter desperately needs her. The spoilers confirm that Paulina is going to be there to comfort Chanel after she receives some absolutely devastating news. We all know Paulina has a magical knack for solving Chanel's problems, but this is one crisis she can't just throw money at. Chanel is facing an agonizing breast cancer diagnosis while she is pregnant. It is a completely horrifying situation, and the writers are pulling no punches. Chanel and Johnny are being forced to discuss the pros and cons of chemotherapy versus surgery, and any invasive treatment that could harm their unborn baby is a massive, heartbreaking hurdle. The emotional weight of this storyline is staggering. We've seen medical dramas in Salem before, but putting a young, pregnant, legacy character through this kind of life or death gauntlet is intense. Johnny is trying to be her rock, but you can see the terror in his eyes. He already lost out on adopting Trey because of Sophia's manipulation. The thought of losing his wife and his biological child might actually break him. Paulina stepping up for Chanel is going to provide some of the most tear-jerking scenes of the year. Jackie Harry and Raven Bowens have such incredible on-screen chemistry. When Paulina wraps her arms around her terrified daughter, you just know there won't be a dry eye in the house. This is a stark reminder that beneath all the corporate backstabbing and resurrections, Days of Our Lives is fundamentally about family. Paulina might have lost her husband to a ghost from the past, but she will absolutely go to war against cancer to save her daughter. And you won't believe what happens next on the DiMera side of town. EJ is up to his usual manipulative tricks. The spoilers tell us that EJ actually turned to Marlena for hypnosis because he is desperate to remember the time when he was all bandaged up and Kat was sitting by his bedside reading Wuthering Heights. Kat claims she doesn't remember anything from that time either, but she knows EJ is chomping at the bit to uncover the truth. Because she holds this leverage over him, Kat uses the opportunity to make a very specific request of EJ. I have to pause right here and let my bias show. As the creator of the Chad DiMera Channel, I am so incredibly relieved that our beloved Chad is far, far away from Kat Green and her toxic web of lies. We love Chad, and he deserves so much better than a woman who masqueraded as his dead wife Abigail and traumatized his young son Thomas. Let EJ deal with Kat. EJ is an arrogant, ruthless monster who loves to play God with people's lives, so if Kat wants to manipulate him, I say let them destroy each other. I think this was a huge mistake on EJ's part to show Kat how desperate he is. You never show your cards to a spy. Think about the symbolism here, guys. Wuthering Heights is the ultimate story of toxic, destructive, obsessive love. It is no coincidence that the writers chose that specific book for Kat to read to a bandaged EJ. It is a massive clue about their dynamic. A lot of fans think Kat is genuinely falling for EJ, but I'm telling you, it's definitely a calculated ISA mission. She is playing him like a fiddle, and EJ's massive ego is blinding him to the truth. Imagine the scene in Marlena's office. EJ, arrogant as ever, demanding answers from his subconscious, while Marlena professionally navigates the mind of a sociopath. Will Marlena's hypnosis actually unlock a memory that exposes Kat's true agenda? Or will EJ just fall deeper into her trap, leaving the DiMera empire vulnerable? Speaking of Chad, let's just take a moment to appreciate how he is handling his business compared to EJ. While EJ is getting hypnotized and manipulated by a woman who clearly has a hidden agenda, Chad is focusing on his children, Thomas and Charlotte. Chad is the true heart of the DiMera family right now. He learned from his past mistakes and is actively trying to be a better man, which is exactly why we root for him so hard on this channel. EJ could learn a thing or two from his younger brother, but we all know EJ's pride will never allow that. The contrast between the two brothers has never been sharper, and I am entirely here for EJ's impending downfall. Now, let's pivot to some massive corporate and romantic fallout. The spoilers reveal that Gabi is desperately trying to regain lost ground with Philip. Remember that epic plot twist where Philip found out Gabi bugged his office on behalf of Tony DiMera? Philip was absolutely furious and promptly dumped her, kicking her right out of the Kiriakis' mansion. Now, Gabi is incredibly sorry and wants to make it up to him. She approaches Philip with a bold offer to square things and hopefully get their relationship back on track. Amazing. Gabi Hernandez never learns, does she? She's always her own worst enemy. She had a great thing going with Philip. They were exchanging I love yous. They were living together, and she threw it all away for corporate espionage. Connect this back to her history with Stefan DiMera and her relentless ambition to control the DiMera enterprise. Gabi cannot separate business from pleasure, and it always blows up in her face. Philip has every right to be furious. He is Victor Kiriakis' son. He grew up watching Kate and Victor destroy people, so he knows a betrayal when he sees one. Will Philip actually accept her offer? I highly doubt it. Philip is notoriously stubborn, and once you break his trust, it is almost impossible to get it back. Plus, we know Theo is waiting in the wings. Even though Gabi falsely accused Theo of being the leak and lied to his face about reading his journal, Theo still has a massive soft spot for her. I predict we are going to see a highly volatile love triangle form here. Gabi's desperate offer to Philip is probably just going to push him further away, leaving her vulnerable and isolated, which is exactly when she usually makes her most dangerous moves. This entire week is setting up some explosive summer storylines. From Lexie reclaiming her legacy status and putting Abe in the hot seat, to Chanel and Johnny's heartbreaking medical crisis, to EJ getting outsmarted by Kat, and Gabi's desperate scramble for forgiveness. Salem is an absolute pressure cooker right now. We are going to be tracking every single one of these plot twists right here on the Chad DiMera channel. Keep your eyes peeled, because the fallout from these events is going to echo for months, and you know we will be here to break down every single glorious moment of it.